Stop what you're doing right now, because this wasn't just another SEC show. This was personal. When MiLaysia Fulwiley stepped back onto the floor to face South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball for the first time since transferring to LSU Tigers women's basketball, it wasn't just about rankings, it wasn't just about conference standings, and it definitely wasn't just another game on the schedule. This was former star versus former home. This was pride, pressure, and proving ground energy all rolled into one. This was SEC drama at its absolute peak. The Colombian native. The highlight machine. The fearless guard who once lit up the Colonial Life Arena in garnet and black, now walking in wearing purple and gold. You could feel the tension before the opening tip. Every dribble felt louder. Every touch carried weight. Every shot? A statement. Was this revenge? Redemption? Or just the next chapter in a rivalry that refuses to cool down? And trust me, what unfolded on that floor delivered everything the hype promised. Before we break down every moment, the crowd reaction, the clutch plays, the emotional swings, and what this means moving forward, make sure you like this video if you love elite women's college basketball drama, subscribe for non-stop sissy coverage, and comment below. Did Fulwiley make the right move transferring to LSU? And how did you think she handled facing her former team? Let's dive in. The arena felt different the moment she stepped off the bus. Not because the lights were brighter. Not because the crowd was louder. But because for the first time in her college career, MiLaysia Fulwiley was walking into a building that once felt like home, as the opponent. There are transfers in college basketball every year. Some are about playing time. Some are about fit. Some are about opportunity. But this one? This one was personal. Because Fulwiley wasn't just returning to any program. She was facing South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball, the powerhouse she helped electrify for 2 seasons. The team that recruited her. The team that developed her. The team whose fans once roared every time she turned a broken possession into a highlight. Now she wore purple and gold. After her sophomore season, Fulwiley entered the transfer portal and eventually committed to LSU Tigers women's basketball, a move that sent shockwaves through the SEC and instantly added fuel to one of the fiercest rivalries in women's college basketball. It wasn't just any transfer. It was a star-crossing enemy line. And when the schedule circled that first LSU, South Carolina matchup, everyone knew what it meant. This wasn't just another conference game in the Southeastern Conference. It was Fulwiley versus her. The storyline practically wrote itself. Colombian native. Former Gamecock spark plug. Flashy, fearless, creative guard who made crowds gasp with no-look passes and ankle-snatching crossovers. Now suiting up against the very program that helped build her national reputation. Inside the arena, the emotions were layered. For some South Carolina fans, she was still their MiLaysia, the hometown star who brought joy to the program. For others, she was now competition. For LSU fans, she was a weapon. A statement. A reminder that the Tigers could land elite talent from anywhere, even from their biggest rival. Fulwiley's journey at South Carolina had been electric. Under head coach Staley, she thrived in a system built on defensive pressure, discipline, and explosive guard play. She wasn't always the leading scorer, but she was often the most unpredictable player on the floor. She could flip momentum in 20 seconds. She could turn a tight game into a runaway. She was the type of guard who made teammates better simply because defenses had to respect her creativity. But college basketball is constantly evolving. Roles shift. Rotations change. Philosophies clash. And after 2 seasons, Fulwiley made the decision to seek something different. Enter Baton Rouge. Under head coach Mulkey, LSU has never been shy about embracing star power. Mulkey demands edge. She welcomes swagger. She builds teams that are as mentally tough as they are talented. Fulwiley's flair fit perfectly into that culture. LSU didn't want her to dim her creativity. They wanted to amplify it. And so the stage was set. Pre-game warm-ups were quiet, at least for Fulwiley. She kept her headphones on longer than usual. She went through her shooting routine methodically. Lay up. Pull up. Corner 3. Free throws. No theatrics. No extra smiles. Across the floor, familiar faces stretched and joked and prepared just like they always had. Former teammates. Former practice partners. Players who once guarded her in drills and celebrated her buzzer beaters. But tonight there would be no shared celebrations. The opening tip felt heavier than usual. Every possession early seemed to funnel toward Fulwiley. Would she take the first shot? Would she attack? Would she hesitate? On her first touch, the crowd buzzed. She jab-stepped. Drove left. Pulled back. Kicked to the corner. Assist. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. It was poised. That's what stood out most throughout the night, not revenge. Not anger. Not theatrics. Control. South Carolina's defense knew her tendencies. They'd seen her spin moves in practice. They'd scouted her favorite angles. They pressured her high. They sent help early. They tried to force her into rushed decisions. But Fulwiley played with patience. Midway through the first quarter, she found the rhythm everyone expected. A hesitation dribble at the top of the key. A sudden burst through the lane. A reverse layup off glass, the kind that makes the bench leap before the ball even drops. The arena reaction was split. Some cheers. Some boos. Some stunned silence. She didn't celebrate. When the game slowed into half-court chess, the emotional weight became more visible. Every defensive possession felt personal. Every rebound battle carried extra intensity. You could see the familiarity, players anticipating cuts, knowing preferred spots. It was almost like watching two mirror images. But rivalry games aren't just about individual matchups. They're about identity. South Carolina leaned into its trademark toughness, crashing the boards, contesting every drive, turning defense into transition. LSU countered with spacing and guard play, letting Fulwiley orchestrate. At one point in the second quarter, Fulwiley found herself isolated at the top of the key against a former teammate. The arena quieted. The shot clock ticked down. She crossed once. Twice. Drove. Floated a soft runner over outstretched arms. Bucket. And for the first time all night, a brief smile flickered. Not taunting. Not defiant. Just competitive fire. Halftime brought mixed numbers but undeniable impact. Even when she wasn't scoring, her presence altered the game. South Carolina shaded defenders her way. LSU capitalized on the gaps. Basketball at this level is rarely about one player dominating every possession, it's about gravity. And Fulwiley had it. The second half intensified. South Carolina made its push. Defensive stops turned into quick threes. The crowd roared in waves. Momentum swung. And this is where narratives often break players. Former team. Emotional crowd. Tights. But Fulwiley didn't unravel. She settled into the moment. A crucial third-quarter possession saw her drive baseline, draw two defenders, and whip a no-look pass to a cutting teammate for a layup. Vintage creativity. Later, with the game within a single possession, she stepped into a transition three. Swish. That shot didn't just add points. It sent a message, she belonged in the... Still, South Carolina never faded. Championship programs rarely do. They answered with defensive stops, contested jumpers, and relentless rebounding. Every run met resistance. Every highlight met a counterpunch. By the fourth quarter, it wasn't about transfer headlines anymore. It was simply elite basketball. Fulwiley's stat line told part of the story, points, assists, perhaps a steal or two, but it didn't capture the emotional layers. It didn't capture the silent glance toward the bench during a timeout. It didn't capture the quiet nod from a former teammate after a hard-fought possession. It didn't capture the maturity in her game, the balance between flair and focus. The final minutes were a grind. Possession basketball. Free throws. Defensive switches. In one of the last key sequences, Fulwiley attacked the paint, absorbed contact, and earned a trip to the line. The noise was deafening. She dribbled twice. Exhaled. Swish. Swish. Clutch. Whether LSU walked away with the win or South Carolina protected its home floor, one thing was clear, Fulwiley didn't shrink from the moment. She grew into it. After the final buzzer, handshakes were brief but respectful. No extended embraces. No dramatic gestures. Just competitors acknowledging the battle. In the post-game reflection, coaches emphasized team effort. Defense. Execution. Adjustments. That's what elite programs do, they zoom out from individual storylines. But everyone watching knew this night meant more. For Fulwiley, it was proof that her decision wasn't about running from something, it was about running toward growth. Facing your former team isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And in that arena, under those lights, she showed evolution. More controlled. More composed. Still creative. Still fearless. Transfers will continue to shape college basketball. Rivalries will continue to intensify. Coaches will recruit, develop, and compete. But certain games carry extra weight. This was one of them. Because sometimes the biggest test isn't talent. It's composure. And on the night she faced her former team for the first time since transferring to LSU after her sophomore season, MiLaysia Fulwiley showed she had both. And just like that, another unforgettable chapter in this SEC rivalry is written. When MiLaysia Fulwiley faced South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball after transferring to LSU Tigers women's basketball, it wasn't just about stats on a box score. It was about growth. It was about pressure. It was about walking into a building full of memories and proving you belong in your new chapter. No matter which side you were rooting for, one thing is undeniable: the intensity, the emotion, and the level of competition showed exactly why the SEC continues to set the standard in women's college basketball. This rivalry isn't cooling off anytime soon. If anything, it just got deeper. If you enjoyed this full breakdown, make sure you like this video to support more in-depth coverage, subscribe so you never miss the next big matchup, and drop a comment below. Who won the mental battle tonight? And what does this mean for the next LSU versus South Carolina show? Turn on those notifications, because when these two programs collide again, you already know we'll be here breaking down every second. See you in the next one.